Hey everyone, welcome back to BDG Reviews, night 28 of the 31 Days of Horror. It's quickly coming to the end. What I'm reviewing tonight is Hammer Films' version of The Mummy. So there we go. This movie was made in 1959, and essentially it's like all the other early Hammer horror, really, where they essentially went back and remade the old Universal stuff, but with a more updated edge. What I really dig about this version is they do away with all the unnecessary. When you watch the Universal version, there's the whole overly dramatic romance angle and everything. It's not necessary, really, in a movie like this. This one just follows. They've a guy and his father and his uncle. They're on an expedition into Egypt, and they find this tomb. They undo it, because the son, who's played by what's his name? How did I? Peter Cushing. I just watched this. I have no clue. I forgot his name. It's played by Peter Cushing, and he's at some point just fallen or whatever, broke his leg, so he can't actually get into the tomb. So his father and his uncle they go into the tomb, and they hear the uncle comes out to tell the son what's going on. They hear a scream. They kind of get back there. Well, the uncle does, and Peter Cushing's father is insane. They think he's had a stroke and everything. Cut to a few years later or whatever. They've closed up the tomb. Well, I don't know whether it was a few years later or the same year. I don't know, whatever. But they end up closing up the tomb, going back to London, and then about 3 years later, the father essentially kind of wakes up from his coma slash mental disturbance or whatever, and essentially he says, the mummy attacked me or whatever. No one believes him, but then that night or whatever, the mummy comes and kills him. A guy from Egypt has brought the mummy over to London. That's about it. I'll leave it at that. This movie is awesome. I love old Hammer horror. I really do. There's a charm about it that's lost nowadays. What's also good is the fact that this wasn't set in the 50s or anything. This was set in 1898. A time when you could believe that people were still looking for Egyptian tombs and everything. I love that because it takes away any necessity of modern convenience. So, it takes away that, there's no phones, so people aren't, well, they're not calling hey, there's something going on here, come over here. It's all very old school, and I really like it. Effects-wise, it's pretty damn solid. Christopher Lee plays the mummy, and there's a shot of him right there. It's a pretty effective design, really. I mean, it's not as extensive as Boris Karloff's version of the Mummy in the Universal one, even though that was a hell of a long time earlier. But it's a very effective use of bandages and everything. And it just works. Not to mention the fact that he's huge, and it comes across on screen. The acting is great. The sound effects, the soundtrack's great. The cinematography is great. Everything about this movie is great. The only drawback, and it's only one, and it's just a little bit irksome for me, and it's just this particular Blu-ray. It is, especially right at the very beginning on the opening credits, it's very grainy. You know, the rest of the movie seems to look fine, but that grain at the beginning was a bit annoying. Um, but then again, it's a movie from 1959. What are you gonna do? I mean, you can't expect perfectly clear picture, you know. But all in all, for rating, I give this a 9 out of 10. It's a great old school mummy movie, and honestly, you could show this to anybody. Maybe not like like a 4-year-old or something, but anyone that has like half like a brain and is half emotionally like mature. They're not going to get scared by this, but it's a good introduction to the horror genre, and it's a bit more. It's in color, so it's not. There isn't that like hurdle to get over, because hell, I know people to this day that won't watch a movie in black and white, and I think they're stupid. I'm just calling. I think they're stupid. If you don't watch a movie because it's in black and white, you're an idiot. You're missing out on some great films. But it's a bit more of a modern introduction to like the classic monsters. But yeah, The Mummy, 9 out of 10, great flick. I'll try to find a trailer and leave it below. Yeah, but that's it for now. See you next time.